Today on RSVP, we have so much to get into. Of course, there's a Jay-Z update because he and Tony Buzbee are going at it. Jay has been crashing out a little bit on the Rock Nation Instagram account, and we have to get into all of those details. We're also going to talk about Travis Hunter because, listen, everybody else is, and everybody, and I mean everybody, seems to have an opinion on he and his fiancée, and he deleted his social media today. So first up, let's get into Jay. We're going to talk about Lil Wayne. He's being accused of questionable activities, and they are looking into what he spent his PPP loan on. So that and a couple of other things. So first up, Jay-Z. So don't know if you saw last week, Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's lawyer, came out and he was blazing at Tony Buzbee, the lawyer of the alleged woman who claims that when she was 13 years old, she was assaulted by Puff, Jay, and an unnamed female celebrity. Okay, so last week he held a press conference in New York where he completely blasted the inconsistencies that were in the filings. I mentioned when initially the filing was redone and talked about Jay-Z. One of the things that stood out to me right away was the fact that the times were different. That she said initially in the first report, she was very specific about what time she got to the venue, where she was, what time she got to the party, how long it took there. And then in the refiling, the one that mentioned Jay's name, the time sort of shifted. It was more ambiguous. So there were questions immediately about that for me. There were also things that were questioned as far as if you saw the interview that she did with NBC, where she said that her father came and picked her up, the gas station attendant, that she ran out of this place, basically unclothed, went to a gas station. She doesn't know where she was. Her father said that they lived in upstate New York at the time, and it would have been almost a 5-hour drive to go and pick her up. He didn't remember that. There were other inconsistencies. She talked about watching the awards on the big screen at the VMAs that year. Well, guess what? There was no big screen in Times Square to watch the VMAs. So that couldn't have happened. Now, it was there in 2003, but then you have another problem because the timeline is different, activities are verified, and the whole case is basically just a mess. So Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's lawyer, came out guns blazing, and I'm going to play you a little bit of what he had to say. So 1 second, let me pull it up here because wait, it's going already. All right. So this is from the Art of Dialogue. Let's see. Is it going to play? And now it's not playing, of course. What are we doing?
Said that somebody would be allowed to do this. They would make a mockery of the system like this. He's upset that this distracts and dissuades real victims from coming forward. He's upset that his kids and his family have to deal with this. He's upset, and he should be upset.
Will Mr. Carter say anything more specifically about Mr. Combs? He didn't really address him in his statement, but anything since outlets and internet speculation have tried to affiliate the two of them, he didn't really, in his statement, specifically say anything about any of the allegations.
I mean, Mr. Carter has nothing to do with Mr. Combs' case or Mr. Combs. They knew each other professionally for a number of years, just like in all professions. People know each other. At the music awards, they support each other. If you go to the NBA All-Star game, they support each other. That's just how professions work. There is no closer association between any of them. That's also a matter of fiction. That's all that there is. He doesn't know anything about the charges or allegations against him. He has nothing to do with that case.
So Damon Dash and a lot of others have come out and said, how is it possible that Jay-Z is claiming that he wasn't friends with Diddy? We've all seen pictures of them together. We've seen them partying together. They were best friends. You never had industry friends? You never had work friends? People that you talk to at work? You may have even gone to a function with them. But once you leave that job, you don't know that person anymore. I think that in an industry as such, you may have associations. You may have people that you even work with. But does that mean that you are good friends with them? I mean, it's up for debate. But what we do know is that Diddy was not at Jay-Z and Beyonce's wedding. And some of the more important moments, Jay and Beyonce weren't at Diddy's children's graduations, things like that. So I don't know. I mean, it is easy in hindsight to look back and disassociate yourself when things like this are going on. But I think it's very possible that they were industry friends because we've all seen them and everybody has them. Also, by the way, feel free to leave a comment or let me know what your thoughts are about any of this at any given time. So I mentioned Jay-Z crashing out, and I don't know if you saw the post and delete that hit up Rock Nation's Twitter. And it seemed like it was coming directly from Jay-Z. And this is what he said, because of course, Jay-Z is suing Tony Buzbee. Tony Buzbee is alleging that Jay-Z's law firm, their associates have been intimidating and threatening witnesses. There are two cases that have come to light where they are suing Tony Buzbee, former clients, where they allege that one, Tony tried to force them, allegedly, to lie about details in a case. And then the other one is a case dating back to a few years ago that has absolutely nothing to do with Diddy or Jay-Z or any of these things, where the individual claims that Tony pressed him to sue. And when he did, he only received 25% of whatever he was awarded in the case. And 94% of another sum, I can't remember what it is, also went to Tony Buzbee's law firm. And so he is suing for that. But Buzbee is alleging that these are popping up because of Jay-Z's law firm's influence and Jay-Z's influence, because he doesn't want the truth out, even though his client has all of these inconsistencies in her story. There is also another suit that has come up alleging that a woman that Tony had a relationship with may have been a client at some point, that he gave her a sexually transmitted disease. So many are questioning, why now? Why is all of this coming up now? Why wasn't it there before? But I mentioned this a couple of months ago. I mentioned this last year when Buzbee first was doing his 800 number for people to come and submit their information about an incident with Diddy, that he has been accused of unscrupulous business practices in the past. So will it hold up? We'll see. But back to Jay-Z and his crashing out. He said, Mr. 1800 said today that Rock Nation is criminally responsible for his legal woes with his ex-client / ex-lover, who is accusing him of transmitting venereal diseases, assaulting, falsifying documents, and stealing client monies. No and no. God is behind that sunlight you keep referencing. We are not the source of every sunlight that you get, but rock sunshine is coming your way, Mr. 1800. Shameful. Now, as I mentioned, this is on the official Rock Nation Instagram account. It was later deleted, but that doesn't sound very PR crisis statement-ish. That sounds like that was personally written by someone. And some are questioning, was it Jay? Certainly seems like it maybe could be. And if it was, why is he crashing out on Rock Nation? He has his own Instagram account or Twitter account. At least he had one. What's going on with that? So it's been deleted for whatever reason, but the mudslinging keeps going back and forth. Now, just in case you were wondering about some other cases recently that Tony Buzbee has filed, the majority of them are high profile and celebrity driven. He also filed a lawsuit last summer against Chris Brown in Fort Worth because he claims that Chris, along with his entourage, brutally attacked and beat several men who had just attended his concert. He said that at least one of the men at the time, this was, I believe, in July, remained hospitalized. And he mentioned Chris Brown's history of assault and that the law firm is seeking damages on behalf of 4 men that are brutalized. So what his MO has been is to send a letter requesting a meeting. Very few of these cases actually end up with a lawsuit filed, because after these meetings, then something is negotiated. Most times, probably a monetary payout because people don't want the embarrassment of these false details coming out, and it's very expensive to fight. Jay-Z has obviously chosen another route, so we'll have to see how this dish continues to turn. Damon Dash, of course, weighed in on that and what is happening with that. So Dame says that Alex Spiro, he knows from experience, is not to be trusted. So, let me pull that up because once again, I mentioned this earlier. I do feel like some of what Dame is saying is sour grapes. He's saying that from his positioning, he would have simply taken this to court because it's false and we'll battle it out in court. We don't even have to worry about, all of this pretrial stuff. What is this? So that is Dame's position on all of this. And so going to get into what Dame had to say. Let me share my screen once again so that you can see what he had to say.
Drink champs can't get him out of this one, and neither can Charlemagne, because those are the guys that hold him down no matter what he does anyway. So he got to get the People Magazine and Entertainment Tonight right now because they on his head. But the question is why? Like, why now? Because for me, I'd be like, yo, that's so ridiculous. Yo, take that to trial. You're not going to win. Let's get a deposition or something, So I don't know why they on his head so much, pause. But I never seen him, under this, I never seen him in this position.
So for me, I feel like Dame, be serious right now. If someone was accusing you of something that is so heinous, you turned into the chatty patty that you claimed everyone else was. You speak out about everything. And I'm not mad that you do. Everyone has an opinion. I'm stating mine right now. So go ahead. But to criticize Jay for defending himself just seems like another way to take shots at him. You are begging for Jay to respond to you. And for whatever reason, he is not going to do it. So that's all I have on that one. We are waiting to see, of course, how this all plays out. I do think that there is obviously enough evidence that there is something amiss. Now, listen, I am not saying that something did not happen to this young lady. Anything could have happened. Maybe she was with some people that told her they were Jay-Z and Diddy. I don't know. But it is clear that at least in this instance, it is looking as if this particular case is not true. And really, 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 I think people need to slow down and wait for credible evidence. There's another case that was filed against Diddy recently, and the woman said that she can't remember the details, but she knows it happened. And once again, we know that there are all types of circumstances that happen with victims and how they cope with things of that nature. But if you were bringing a civil lawsuit against someone who you said is your attacker, there are some things that really, really need to be lined up, especially as heinous as these accusations are. So we're going to leave at that right there for now. And let's get into this Lil Wayne allegedly balling on PPP. So like a lot of people, like a lot of businesses, Lil Wayne took out a loan for his lost wages and whatever else, his lost business during the pandemic. Well, Business Insider, they did an investigation and they found out that Wayne received $8.9 million for a pandemic relief program, and that he used that to cover more than 2 years worth of spending on luxury hotel stays, designer clothes, travel to and from nightclub appearances, which, a lot of that is work when you consider the industry that Lil Wayne is in, right? But they also say that it was 1.3 million on private jet flights, $460,000 on clothes, many of them accessories. They mentioned that it was high-end brands like Gucci and Balenciaga, and that he billed taxpayers more than $175,000 for expenses related to a music festival that was used to promote his weed brand and his clothing line for artists associated with his label. Well, when he canceled one of those appearances, which he also charged back to this, he was allegedly someplace else at another party, as demonstrated, I guess, by some online photos. He also used grant money, they say, to cover nearly $15,000 worth of flights and luxury hotel rooms for women whose connections to Lil Wayne's tour and the touring operations is unclear at this time. One of the women was a Hooters type waitress and adult film star. So, once again, sounds like things that little rappers do. Maybe he was putting them in a video and, something like that. The concert that he canceled, it was actually a New Year's Eve concert that was supposed to take place at Coachella. And it was a little bit before the set started that employees announced to the crowd that was already there that he would be unable to perform because of wind and flights, right? And so allegedly there were 20 to 30 mile winds per night, but he posted that night from a party at a club on Sunset out here in Hollywood with rapper 2 Chainz. So people are questioning, could he have really made it? I mean, you could drive. It's not that long of a drive. But there are also list an $80,000 birthday party. And Wayne wasn't the only person that they checked into their finances. They also looked at Chris Brown. He had a $10 million grant to his company, CBE Touring. Makes perfect sense. You could not tour in COVID. So they said that $5.1 million went to Chris Brown personally, and that he billed taxpayers nearly $80,000 for his 33rd birthday party. They also said that he was charged for atmosphere model. Well, he charged them for atmosphere models, which, when you have an event, sometimes there is talent that you hire out to fill the space. And it is called atmosphere. And it is a line item, right? And they mentioned that the women were, covered in body paint, and that the party also had a bill for hookah, $29,000 worth of hookah, and bottle service, nitrogen ice cream, and damages that were involved in burning holes in the rented couches. So they also talked about a Tulum trip that was billed back and some other things. They weren't the only artists that were investigated, but they were the 2 that were highlighted. Now, the other artists were not Black. I know you're wondering, so I'm just going to put it out there. I can't remember who they are at this time, but they weren't Black, but they did lead with the information about Lil Wayne. Like I said, a lot of those expenses, when you think about the business that wide, maybe not the Hooters chick, but maybe, we don't know. So let's get into this Travis Hunter story because, oh my God, the internet has been burning, flaming him and her. So basically, Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter, he played for the Colorado Buffaloes. He moved from, I believe, Jackson State with Deion Sanders to Colorado, thugged it out with him, worked really hard, put in that work on the field, and came out as this year's Heisman Trophy winner. Well, he has a girlfriend, Leanna Lenee, I believe is her last name. And they've been the center of a lot of social media buzz over the past couple of weeks because of their recent appearances and a lot of rumors, a lot of stuff popping off about them. So first up, there was a video that surfaced where Leanna said that, initially when she met Travis, he wasn't her type. It should be noted that they have a couple's Instagram where they talk about all of these things. So it's not like somebody was digging for this information or exposing a private conversation or anything of that nature. They simply, they do this on their YouTube channel. It's monetized. It's a payday for them. So this is a conversation that they were having. That's how the first clip got out there. And it started to circulate as the buzz came for him. potentially winning the Heisman. Then at the actual ceremony, Lena was sitting down, and when his name was announced and when he went on stage, Travis even mentioned her in his speech when Lil Wayne came up and thanked him. He told Lil Wayne he had never heard his music before his girl put him on. And after that, he said, it was a match made in heaven. But Leanna put him on to Lil Wayne, the music, right? And so at the ceremony, everyone else is standing up. Leanna was sitting down. So Dion kind of nudged her on her shoulder to get up. People were mad. They're like, oh, she's not the girl for you, Travis. So then there was another incident at some type of appearance where Travis was taking photos with fans. And we just saw a clip of it. Lena was sitting down and she says something like, well, what am I supposed to do? Sit there and wait all day? Oh, flame. The internet went off. But Travis, he loves his girl. It should be noted that his first national spot with Adidas, because that's who he signed with. And, he's definitely going to be in the draft next April. Is it April or May now? I can't remember. But, he's definitely all up in there. And in his first national spot, Lena is in the commercial. So, one, I want you to recognize he loves this young lady. I believe they're engaged now, but he loves her. He put her in his commercial. He's putting her on, right? And so he got on Twitch and he was like, y'all don't understand. She was tired. There was some other stuff going on that you don't know about, and you're not going to break us up. And here's the thing. You're not. Like, people can have an opinion, but the reality is the more you try and force him to separate from her, the closer they're going to get. It's that me and you against the world thing. They are going to bond together and stick together. So I feel like you need to fall back a little bit and give that man some space. If he is making a mistake, he will find out soon enough. Shador Sanders got on, I can't remember if it was X or Blue Sky or if it was I think it was X actually. He got on there and said, all these people that are speaking out in concern because Bow Wow spoke out, Des Bryant spoke out, a bunch of other people, Uncle Luke spoke out. He actually kind of on the lowest of keys defended Travis's fiance, but shaded someone else. But that's a story for another day. But all of these individuals are speaking out, telling Travis that's not the girl he wants. She's not the one for him. He needs to be careful, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Shador was like, listen, if you really care about him, you would reach out to him privately and not use this to clout chase on social media. To a degree, I think that is fair. You could reach out to him directly and try and have this conversation. However, this is the era that we are living in. And part two, as I mentioned earlier, Travis and his girlfriend, fiance, Leanna, they have a YouTube channel where they talk couple stuff, where they talk about how they got together, what happened. So that kind of opens you up for conversation. That comes along with being a professional athlete, being able to get these NIL deals at this time and all of that. So, you got to take the heat. Well, apparently Travis can't because the digging continues. And there is a video that is surfaced of Leanna at a Halloween party, and it was on her friend's TikTok. It has since been deleted, but Leanna was grinding up on somebody that was not Travis, and people are making jokes because apparently, once again, on their YouTube channel, at some point in time, they talked about Travis taking her to parties and sitting outside in the car waiting for her to come out of the parties. Now, there's all types of rumors about what her career choice is or isn't, what she does, how long they've actually been together and things of that nature. But I stand by the fact that you're not going to break them up. Listen, he hasn't even got drafted yet. He hasn't even been exposed to the amount of additional women that are going to be headed his way. So I feel like just relax, let it play its course. She bought him, I can't remember what type of car she bought him because they're making that much money from their YouTube channel. So it's not like she doesn't have her own coin, albeit connected to him. But still, I feel like let them cook. Let them cook because you can say all of the things and it's not going to cause him to change his mind, restart, or fall back. So, give them space. And look, and listen, we see this play out with athletes all the time. This is part 2 to this. How many athletes cheat on their girlfriend? And no, we don't know if that is happening with Travis, if he has stepped out on her, if he is planning to, if he will in the future. But that is part of the game too. So, sometimes it simply is what it is. Men are so upset at this. And it's like, you know what the game is? You get the woman that you want related to your wallet. Isn't that what you guys always say? Isn't that the thing that you always complain about? So, look, he's not leaving her alone. He did delete his social media though. So we'll see if he comes back to it. We'll see if he addresses this on the YouTube channel or if he hops on Twitch and handles all of that. But, young love. So speaking of wives and girlfriends of sports stars, there is a new show that is headed to Netflix next month, and it is called Wags to Riches. So what it is there was a show, Selling Tampa, that originally was on Netflix. The lead in that show was Sherelle Rosado, and that is Chad Ochocinco Johnson's ex now fiance, although maybe they're getting back together. I don't know. They're playing on social media. Who knows if this is a tease for the show? Anyway, the show has been completely revamped. And on this new version of the show, they are taking it back to Tampa and Selling Sunset. Tony Yayo, yes, I do interact with the chat. Thank you. I've been shouting out the people. Hit me up. Let me know what's going on. I appreciate you for clocking in. Do you have any feedback or any comment on any of the stories? Because I'm happy to run it back. But I'll continue to give you the deets on Wags to Riches if you don't. Because the cast is pretty interesting, right? So, as I said, it's revamps. So, Sherelle is the lead. It also has Miranda Johnson. She is Kodak Black's ex. She's going to be on there. She's in the real estate game. So, I suppose she is going to be working for Sherelle at her real estate agency. Alexis Welch Stoudemire. She is the ex-wife of Amari Stoudemire. She and Amari dated really, really long time. They got together early when he was in the league. They had a breakup for a period of time when Amari was dating Sierra when he was with the Knicks, but they got back together, got married, moved to Israel for a period of time, went through a whole bunch of things. So she's going to be sharing some of her story on there. There is also Ashley Wheeler. She is working to secure her spot at Sherelle's company. She is married to retired Dolphin Philip Wheeler. She has a podcast called Humble Baddies with Sherelle and Alexis. And she also was on Wags, which aired a few years back on E! So there's additional to that, Portia Berto. She's Andre Berto's wife. And they just recently moved to Tampa. She's also going to be working for Sherelle. So I suppose we're still going to get the luxury real estate edge in there also. There is Sharday Vanessa. She's married to NFL star Robbie Chosen. Stoney Levinson. She is Rick Ross's other baby's mama, not Tia Kemp with the teeth, the other one. And so she's going to be on there also, I believe, involved in real estate. There is Keita Hill. She is married to Tariq Hill. And, Tariq Hill is he of the 8 babies, several of them in several months combined. I believe Keita, who they recently got married, has her own young baby with him. And then I think he had like 4 or 5 kids in a relatively short time span. And then the infamous Yes Jules is going to be joining the cast as well. Now, Yes Jules is a Miami promoter and event specialist. She has caused some controversy online. She has been accused of being anti-Black by some people. She worked on a lot of, projects with LeBron James, people like that. Tony Yayo, I would have preferred Colony Riggs landing the WAG show. I'm not sure who that is. Give me more information, Tony, on Colony. But this group of women, here's the thing that I do like. If they are all really involved in real estate, Sherelle has this real estate company. She had the Selling Tampa show, which seemed to do well. It was very different, though, from shows like Selling Sunset and the New York version, in that I felt like there was less focus on the luxury real estate aspect and more on the drama. But I mean, drama is why we watch these shows. But there should be a lot more luxury in the game with this many connections to moneyed individuals. And everybody has a little bit of drama going on. So I'm curious to see what we're presented with. As I said, I think it premieres January 22nd. It's going to be on Netflix. And Sherelle and Chad recently broke up. There's been some public little tiffs, so to speak, on social media. Could be promotion leading up for the show to get people interested. Colony is the real estate lady from Selling Tampa, the dark-skinned one. Oh, I think I remember her. I did watch Selling Tampa. So I'm curious to see what they come with. I do feel like at this time, slightly, ever so slightly, we know Basketball Wives is still on the air, that the whole concept of seeing the WAG lifestyle via reality TV is something that I believe we're a little bit past. But we'll have to see, if they bring something different to the mix. Basketball Wives premiered, I believe, in 2010. So we are 14 years in to this. And, if they can bring something different to the mix, obviously different personalities from something like Basketball Wives. And we hope that it won't be messy. That's not true. It's going to be messy. Otherwise, why are we watching? But I hope that there's some substance with that too. So we will have to see. Leave me comments, leave me feedback. I love that. You guys let me know when's a good time for me to stream. I'm trying to figure this out, but tap in with me. There's some new interviews on the site. Check those out. And